We're back, Squeeze the Neck podcast, and today I am Dartford, I believe we are, right? Blue Water Shopping Centre, anyway, with my new mate. I pronounced this, so I can't mess this up. I'll let you do it if I do mess it up. Taiwo Mosuro.
Yes.
Bosh, there you go.
Taiwo, but I'll take that.
I'll take it close enough, come on.
Yeah,
cut your man some slack. Thanks for doing this, mate. I appreciate you.
No worries.
And as I said, we're in Blue Water today because you just told me you're a Gillingham native nowadays, originally from South East London. Wrong side of London, but right side of the river, so we let him off.
The easy and quiet side of London.
There you go, I got you. But we'll get into all that, mate. But before we do, tell us who you are.
Well, what can I say? My name's Taiwo Mosuro. I just turned 30 this year. And
You're an old man. Sorry, carry on.
It's okay. I just turned 30 this year, and I'm doing full-time boxing, full-time working at the same time as well. So I'm trying to balance life and hobbies at the same time. So apart from that, man, I'm all good, man. Healthy, I'm good. I'm happy, I'm smiling.
Bosh. So we can ask for it at the end of the day, innit? But like, take us through your boxing career, mate. We'll work back as we go. We jump about. That's what we do. But like, what weight division are you fighting at right now?
Right now, I'm in the middle of two weights. I'm in super middle and light heavyweights.
Okay.
Mainly reason why my manager told me to be in those two different weight classes because I don't know what it is with him, but he said in this country it's hard to get fights in light heavyweight division.
Right. Okay.
Because there's not that many fighters in that weight cut unless you climb up to the ladders. And then he told me right now I need to start super middleweight temporarily because that's where most of the fights are for me at the moment. But and if I can't find one at that weight, then I've got another option which is light heavyweight. So eventually it will balance out.
Yeah. And would you walk around that? What's your natural sort of weight?
87.
Oh, are you? Okay, so you're big enough. Yeah, like that's. I mean, what's super middleweight like cutting for that? Is that difficult?
Yeah.
I was gonna say 87. Fuck me.
Last 2 fights ago, even my friends, my family were like, "Tia, you're alright. You look a bit too skinny to be that." Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, man. The lightest I've ever been was 77.
Ever? What, you was born at 77 kilos, was you?
I mean, but yeah, for my fight, I got you. That's the last I've ever been.
So, but like I didn't introduce you properly. It's my fault. So like, undefeated pro boxer, right?
Yes, at the moment, yeah.
ABA London champion.
Yes.
Done a bit of homework here, boys. Don't worry about that. The old Instagram told me everything I need to know. But yeah, tell us like where you're from originally in terms of a boxing perspective, mate. Where did you start?
So originally, I started back in 2017. Actually, not even year 7 I started.
Year 7?
If we're going to go all the way back there.
Yeah. When you started,
year 7, Mainly because...
And for any of the Americans that view this, year 7, 11, 12 years old, that sort of age?
Yes. I like to fight.
Right.
I'll just put it out there. I'm a fighter. If you see my knuckles...
Yeah, mate, I got you.
Yeah, I can tell for you.
Yeah, I got you, mate. I'm not as good looking as I used to be.
That's right. If I see that, I wouldn't even want to approach you. But I like fighting. And it got to the point, because I wear glasses as well. And when I was in school, you wear the glasses with the ropes and stuff like that. People used to bully me a little bit and try to take that as an advantage for me and tell me to give me money. And for me, I took it on for a while, and eventually it got to the point where I just said, you know what, enough is enough. And anyone that approached me or talked silly to me would just get a bollocking from me. And from there, I had a friend that told me, T, you can't be doing this. Because I've been excluded from school a few times as well.
Right.
And he told me, look, come to my gym. His dad is a coach. And he introduced me to his dad, and then from there, that's where it began. What
club was this at, mate?
That was in Nemesis.
Nemesis? I boxed against Nemesis back in the day. I was at Earlsfield. So
yeah, he was at Erith as well.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Well, as far as I was concerned, they chuck us on the back of like a minibus, drive to the arse end of nowhere, and now we're in Nemesis. That was my experience with Nemesis.
This is years ago.
Yeah.
So
mate, I'm older than you. I can go back further. I've got a program indoors. Maybe I'll post it when I post this. I'll send the picture. I've got a Nemesis program with my name in it from, I believe, 2008, 2009. Back in the day.
I was in year 8 then.
There you go. I was 18 then, so I'm showing my age. But I'm still 25, so figure it out. I don't know. I wish I was 25, bro. Shit. When that comes on, I tell people I'm 25.
But yeah, that's pretty much where my journey started. And I've done all the sports in there. I did BJJ, Taekwondo, mixed martial arts, MMA, Thai boxing, Muay Thai.
Wow.
None of them really was my cup of tea because I felt like all these elbows, spinning elbows, clinching, grappling, it gets tiring too quick for me.
Yeah,
and then obviously introduced me to boxing, and that was where I felt like, okay, this is something I can really, because if you're talking real life defensiveness, if you're in the public room and someone wants to attack you, you won't have time to be doing all that grappling stuff. You just want a quick one and then.
See, here's the thing, and that's an interesting point to stop on there because everyone says, and I'm a Jiu Jitsu guy, don't get me wrong now, I was a boxer before, but I've gone through different, and I almost did it the opposite to you. I went from boxing to the other way, but everyone wants to say like the fights end up on the ground, but listen, people dismiss boxing, I think, whereas listen, first things first.
Yeah.
Someone's in front of you, definitely, that's number one, isn't it? You don't want to be on the floor unless you have to be.
Exactly.
And the punch in the mouth is always the start to me.
And then when you get to the floor, that's another story. That's when you start again. But like, I'm on the floor now. What am I going to do?
Right.
You know. But I try not to get myself in that situation anyway.
Yep.
Because you know, as professional boxers, you can't fight in public unless it's.
Them days are over now, right? let's be fair. Them days are over. If you're a professional boxer, don't be doing that nonsense. Get paid for it, man. And how many pro fights you had?
I've had 6 now.
6 pro fights, right? So you're seriously into your career now. You're past the point. For anyone who doesn't know, after 5 professional fights, you can't go back to amateur. No. So you're in it now. This is what you do. And what's like the immediate future? You said to me off camera, you're back in camp on Monday, which we get into. But like, if we just jump, we'll go back to the amateur career in a minute, mate. But just briefly, like, if we look at the next sort of 12 months, because the reason I asked that is 6 fights into your career, you're serious now. You're on the road, aren't you? But at the same time, there's still a long way to go to get to sort of the top. So, like, what's the next 12 months in your mind look like for you?
So, speaking of the next 12 months, I actually spoke to my coach, my manager, Steve Goodwin.
Shout out Steve.
Shout out Steve Goodwin. After my fight 2 weeks ago, and he said to me, obviously, he's trying to fast track me as well because of my age as well, which I understand. And he said to me, I was meant to fight for a Southern Area title shot. This fight.
At which weight? Middle, super middle, or light heavy?
Light heavy. But because I didn't qualify for it, he told me to have another fight, which is my last 6 rounder.
Right.
And then from there onwards, he's gonna put me for a Southern Area title, which is gonna be the next one.
Right.
Which should be sometime in September, guys. So if you're watching this,
there you
September, keep a look out on my page. I'm gonna be posting some stuff as well.
There you go.
But yeah, it's September, and from there onwards, he's gonna try and find me a TV contract because I've got 1 more year left with him.
Right.
And he's trying to take as much from me as possible, and I'm trying to take as much from him as well.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that will be my 7th fight in September.
And in a year, like, because I've spoken to people on here, and different people have got different ideas on how many fights they like to have in a year. Some people go, 2 or 3, which to me is kind of crazy, right? Especially at this stage.
You ain't got time for that.
You ain't got time for that. That's what I'm getting at. At this stage, you have
all.
not got time for that. Like, what's an ideal year look like for you in terms of, as I say, the next 12 months? How many fights do you want to be in?
So he thinks I'm good to have 4 fights.
Right.
Every year, which is every quarter, every quarter. So every 3 months you have a fight. But if I can squeeze in a full fight, then we can do 4 fights. Sorry, if I squeeze in a 5 fight, that'll be a 5 fight every year.
Yeah.
Only reason is because if you can get a knockout in the first round, second round, then that will give you enough breathing space to get another one in.
Yeah.
And if you were going to do another 6 rounds, then maybe your time might be limited. Mm-hmm. If you're doing 10 rounds every fight, then you're really limited because
you've got to slow down, innit? You've got to look after your body.
Yeah, because your body's gonna be injured and all that kind of stuff as well.
And it's the camps, innit? Because like the amount of rounds you're sparring creeps up on you. And like boxing a little bit different to martial arts. Like with martial arts, a lot of people get injured with things like your knees, your elbow, all this kind of stuff. With boxing, it's not always, of course. There's shoulder problems, neck problems, whatever. But typically, it seems to be hand trouble, doesn't it? Like with boxing.
Like for example, now. I don't know if you see this.
Yeah, I can see your knuckle. You've got a big fat knuckle there. Show that to the camera. Look, you got knuckle up, son.
Yeah. And this finger, I think I fractured this finger.
Don't give away too many secrets. People might watch. He's brand new. He's fine.
I think I fractured this finger in my last fight. So it's still a bit wobbly at the moment, but I can't let time. I have to let it heal.
Right.
But if I tell my coach that, then we can start working on other things while this one is healing.
And to be fair, like from when I've been injured and certain things before, I've always found it's a pain in the arse at the time, don't get me wrong, but like down the road they benefit you because like you said, you've got to work on specific things because that won't allow it. Yes, overall I think they do, it is what it is, you know what I mean?
Injury can be, it depends how you take it, but injury can be a blessing or not a blessing. You know what I mean? Because for example, if I get a tennis elbow, for example, right, I can't use that hand for a while. Right. So which means I can work on my right hand or I can work on my left hand.
Footwork, the whole deal.
While this one is healing the process in a way, because if you have if all your pains are healed, sometimes I'm guilty of this myself, right? If I feel like I'm good, I have no injuries, I will neglect training certain things while working on other things. But if I was to get injured in somewhere else, then I'll have to train what I'm ignoring all this time.
Yeah, of course,
you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
So that way, I feel like that's what makes certain boxers different. Because if you try and work on specific things a step at a time, you will get better. Yeah. But if you neglect all the other things because you feel like you're this person that can fight everybody, beat everybody, then pretty much you're not really as good as you think you are.
Yeah,
because you don't know what your potential is until you try going outside the box and training outside the box, which is what I try to do myself sometimes. I'm pushing myself all the time as well. Yeah. And with that said, I feel like right now I'm more prepared. This camp is going to be different for me now. Because my last camp was actually terrible.
Right, okay.
It was,
Why?
It was the worst camp I've ever had. Because my coach went on holiday.
Hey, coach, yo, what are you up to,
My
bro?
coach went on holiday.
Who's the coach? Name him, shame that man.
No. No.
You don't get no credit?
No, I don't. I'm not exposing anybody here.
Good man, I'm
But
with you there. I appreciate that. I'm with you on
I'm not
that.
exposing anybody here. But you know, my
Because
coach
I'll
went
tell
on
you what,
holiday.
just to stop you there, I just got off the phone from a promoter from a certain fight show.
Yeah.
I won't expose them either, but there's some scumbags in this game. But we'll come back to that another time.
There's a big scumbag.
Carry on. There's some. Listen.
I called him cross to the clown.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I just told someone off on the phone. Not that I'm any authority to tell him off, but I think he knew he was wrong and he kind of ducked his. I'm saying ducked his head. He was on the phone, but he kind of went into his shell and he's a scumbag, and you know who you are. But we won't expose you. Go on, back to you.
But yeah,
before I go on a rant and ruin the show.
Okay. But then you know, he was on holiday and his other partner in training couldn't train him because he had joints problem.
Right.
So obviously you can't do pass for me, and literally all his joints were just you know. And I felt like. Because those two are they're my biggest coach. If one works with strength and conditioning, the other one works on the boxing itself, and one takes me for sparring.
Right.
So I couldn't do any of that. So I had to find sparring for myself, and I had to use my partner as my corner.
Man, no way.
Yeah, she's a real G as well.
Yeah,
so
she's a soldier.
My partner has been my cornerman, my drink, my first aid.
Wow.
Everything you can think of. She was there for me during all of that kind of time. So I was kind of basically going to sparring by myself with my missus by my side.
Wow.
So in a way, you have to not let somebody else's issue affect yours. You know what I mean? So for that reason, I thought I can't let myself go because somebody's on holiday having fun.
No. And that comes back to sort of what you said there about not knocking people and stuff. I think it's the same sort of mindset as what you're saying of someone who doesn't make excuses, right?
You can't.
It is what it is.
In this sport, you can't have any excuse because the moment you step into that ring on fight night, you're on your own.
And no one cares either, do they?
Especially the referee.
Yeah,
they
right.
don't care.
But also afterwards, how many times you heard a fighter go, "Oh, I lost, but you know, this hurt, that hurt. My mum don't love me. This don't work." It's like, listen, no one cares at the end of the day. As much as they might be relevant and real, it is what it is, isn't it? And you know, people only care about the result.
And the thing is, if you have injury and you're not telling the doctor, why do you have a doctor before a fight in the first place?
Don't fight, right?
Exactly. They ask you, are you injured anywhere?
Yep.
When was your last fight? Did
Yep.
you get knocked out? And all those questions. If you're lying to the manager, you're lying to yourself.
Yep.
And then if you get injured in the fight, who's there to blame? Yourself, right? So in a way, I feel like, for me, I didn't want to give any excuses whatsoever, and I had to think outside the box to make myself comfortable when it's fight night.
Right.
Because if I did win, I know that I put in the work for myself. And if you didn't win, you can't blame everybody else because at the end of the day, you're the one that's getting into the ring. They're just there to support you.
Yeah.
You know, and then in a way, some people try to use that as an excuse to say, my coach was on holiday, so I didn't bother training hard. No, they're not fighting for you. It's your future.
That's it.
Right? It's your future, it's your fight, it's your legacy, it's your career you're building. They're just there to support you and push you from the back.
Yeah.
So, in a way, when my coach wasn't here, I did my own strength and conditioning, I did my own running, I did my own sprints, I did my own everything, really. But then I had another coach that I could use for emergency because as good as your training can be independently, you can't do pads by yourself.
No, you can't hold your own pads.
You can't do pads by yourself. You can't do. I mean, you can do bags by yourself,
Yeah.
but what you do, what you know, is what you know. It's good to have a third eye on you, and then or second eye, should I say, to look at where you're going and run because you're not perfect. No boxer is perfect. That's why there's always training. There's always camps every fight. So I had to use him. He knows who he is as well. I'm not saying names either. I'm not exposing anybody in this. But you know, I had to use him as well, and he was a big savior for me in this camp.
Right.
And without him, I don't think I'd have performed the way I did on fight night.
Yeah, I got you. And like,
You know what I mean?
it's so important, like you say, to have someone. Forget the ability of the coach. Of course, you want a great coach, but someone you trust, I think, is a big thing, isn't it? That someone that's in that corner, they're going to look in your eyes in between rounds, and they know what they're looking at, which is, you know.
What boxers need to understand is you need to have the best coach in the corner, someone that wants the best for you, not for them.
And I'll tell you what I found as well, boxing, as I said, I boxed for Elsford. I don't know if you know the coach at Elsford, Sid Khan, shout out Sid Khan, Andy Stables, Bob.
I fought a few guys from there.
Did you? Yeah.
know,
Did you lose?
Yeah.
Yeah, good man. But the reason I bring up Sid is like, Sid, for anyone who's boxed for Elsford, and you ain't even got boxed for Elsford, anyone who knows him, he's got a presence about him. He's not a big man physically, but if you like, the point I'm trying to make is when I had him in the corner, you want to do well for him as well. Do you know what I mean? And that goes a long way, doesn't it? Like when you've got someone in your corner that you don't want to let down. Like he'll never give you a compliment, Sid. Shout out if there's ever finds your coach. But he one time I was in a bout and he'd always sort of criticise it, but he said a few things, and I won't get into specifics about you, not me, but like he said some things that just light something up, and they give you that extra to do it for him.
Especially when when the bell goes off and they come in your corner, and you're like, why am I here?
That's it.
They give you that little motivational speech, and you're like, whoa, where did this energy come from?
Yeah, exactly.
And
they'll say things sometimes, whereas especially my personality works as well, but also Sid's one of them coaches that will tell you how bad you're doing all the time. But in the right moment, he'll switch it on you. And like I've had that exact experience. He got in and he'll say a little nugget to you, and you kind of go like, whoa, he does believe in me, and he is here for me. Do you know what I mean? And I think that goes a long way.
Sometimes I feel like, and this is my opinion as well, they lie to you sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
To give you that little extra boost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, if you performed in a round, they can come and say you lost that round.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're making thinking, shit, I did the best I could.
That's it.
And then you got to go on and do more.
Yeah.
Which means you've won 2 out of, I don't know, 4, 2 or 6.
Right.
But then in their head, they're thinking, I got you.
Yeah, I got you.
I got you.
That's it. And sometimes a good coach will realise when you think you're giving it your all, but he knows you've got an extra gear. Your coach that's around you properly, he sees you in the gym, right? He knows what you're like. He knows when it's hard and you're sparring, he makes you do one more round, how you react, how you don't react, what's good, what ain't. And it's priceless. For anyone who hasn't had a coach in the corner and boxed or fought for real, it's different, isn't it? I don't want to hear about what you sparred in the gym.
But
I want to know what you did for real.
There's some coaches that are inexperienced.
Yeah,
as well.
Of course there are.
For example, if you was my coach and you couldn't make it, and you call somebody to take your place for me to fight, that person could fuck me up. Of course, yeah.
Say what you like on here, mate. Yeah.
That person can mess me up because they've probably never had experience in corners, so they could be telling you whatever.
Yep.
Just mess him up. Do what you do.
Punch him in the head.
Yeah, or you weren't good at the bottom. Go at the top next time.
Yeah.
No. I can't just do what you tell me because. It might not work. It might look good outside, but it's not good in the ring.
No, well, that's the other thing as well, and I've mentioned this on here before, is when a coach is giving you, they're giving you like a running commentary. Jab, move to the left, 1, 2. It's like, bro, keep it simple, huh? Hey, let's slow down.
That's one thing I hate as well, is the coaches shouting to you.
Yeah.
When the opponent can hear what they're saying.
Yeah, right. So that's another thing.
If you're gonna do that, I'm gonna block it then.
Yeah.
But my coaches, what I love about them is they never shout.
Right.
Never.
Okay.
They'll let me make my mistake. If I win or lose, then that's up to me.
Right.
It's when I go into the corner, then they talk to me like father, like son.
Yeah.
They'll talk to me with respect and like with a low calm voice.
But I think that's the way to do it. Is in the corner because that's when it's like that's their time, right?
Yes.
You know what it's like, and anyone would know what it's like.
60 seconds to give me that little.
There it is.
Right, I'm coming.
But also, when you're in there, unless it's very basic and simple advice, there's a lot going on, isn't there? He's trying to punch you in, the crowd, the noise, can't hear it properly. You don't need added stress. Whereas, he's looking for the right hand might be a good bit of advice. Or jab and move to the left. Simple things, but.
How can I hear that?
Right.
If the crowd's shouting or chanting your name.
Right.
Taiwo. Fuck him up. And then your coaches are shouting at you saying, give him the 1-2, give him that combo we worked on. Yeah. What combo?
Which one? We worked on 6, yeah.
We worked on 6, 7, 8 combos. Which one do you want to do? So
but if we go back a step, mate, we'll come back to your pro career, obviously, and going forward.
So I'm getting
training.
carried away.
No, mate, I get carried away every episode, and people in the DMs tell me to slow down. You talk too much. Yeah, all right, cool, man. But it's like, as an amateur, what age did it become serious for you, where you was like, this is what I want as a career?
Do you know what, right? My coach, this one I would say his name. His name is Tony Cisse. He was my coach, and I love this man to bits. It's a shame he can't be in my corner at the moment because he's got certain issues going on. But without Tony Cisse, I don't think I'll be where I'm at today.
Is this a Nemesis guy? Is it?
No, he's Repton.
Oh, Repton. Okay.
He was a Repton fighter for years, legend in the sport, and then he turned pro. And then I met him for a friend as well, actually, and my friend Joel Kudua. We started amateur together.
Yep.
But he turned pro 2 years before me.
Okay.
So he's on 9 or 10 fights now, and he's now a Commonwealth champion and a Southern Area champion.
Bosh. There you go.
I went to his fight last week. Was it last week or the week after? And the way he performed was just flawless.
Well, Bosh, shout out. We'll get you on the podcast, mate. Let's get you sitting down. Let's talk about it.
Shout him, put him on, man.
I will do. We'll talk about it.
He deserves the limelight.
Yes.
So we started together, and for me to see that accomplishment that he's done shows to me that if he can do it, why can't I do it?
Right.
You know.
Is this your way saying you're better than him? Causing trouble and squeeze the neck.
No comment. But you know, for him, he also gives me that little extra motivation as well because he's always training as well. He actually quit his job to do that full time. And for me, I'm not quitting my job just yet.
No.
You know.
But you just said it, not just yet. That's obviously the goal. This is what you want to do.
Of course. I love fighting.
Yeah.
I love fighting.
And you see yourself, I said we'll come back to it, but we'll get to it now. Like, is you being a world champion, is that like where you're looking at?
Are you at that, world champion and beyond that.
And beyond, yeah, right.
There's always more to boxing than just belts.
Yep,
right?
there is.
You always got to be supportive of other boxers. I feel like that's what makes you different. Because just because I fight you and I won against you doesn't mean we're enemies.
No,
you know?
And it shouldn't.
I could call you 2 days later and be like, let's do another sparring so you can get better or I can get better. That's the kind of boxer I want to be. A boxer that always motivating other boxers and not try to. Even you see with this face to face, and then they do that little slap my face, that little taunt. I don't like that. Respect.
Yep.
And then that might even bring out the best in you, just because you respect me enough.
And you know what? I think it does bring out the best in you. I think it does because you know what? I think there's too much of that nonsense nowadays, and
it's boring to see.
Don't need it. It's unnecessary.
To see. I don't like boxers that do that. The cocky ones, the ones that they feel like they're on top of the world just because you have the belt. No, look at Canelo's proven that to countless of boxers.
Mate, 100%. And do you know what? I was at a show recently, and this is anyone who's there knows what show I'm talking about. I won't because it sounds like I'm criticising. I'm not. It was a great show, but two boxers in the ring. At the end of the first round, they decided to square up, take their gloves off and try and have a fight and got chucked out the arena, right? Now, I don't know where the brain power behind that was because you only had to go and stand over there for a minute and you're going to fight again anyway. Do you know what I mean? But there's some funny stuff out there now. But certain things you see like fighters over-celebrating after a knockout win and all that kind of stuff, it's not for me, you know what I mean? Each their own, but it's not for me. I'm with you there. I'm with you, like, let's get in there and let's help each other out after.
Yeah, you know, going back to the amateur that you said, Tony Sisson was the one I started with, and he's taught me a lot. He's connected me with a lot of people, which kind of leads to where I'm at today. The way he trains, I still follow his regime in training because his training methods I feel like, is underrated. You know, and it's a shame he's not coaching anymore. Like
he's not coaching
anymore, no. But you know, when he was coaching, I'm just happy to say I learned a lot from him, and he's taught me a lot about self-discipline and not looking at other people's shoulders and looking at your shoulder. Because looking at other people's shoulder, you could miss your potential. Yeah. You know, and with him, he's connected me with like the reps of. I've met Anthony Yard because of him. I've met Vidal O'Reilly because of him. I've met Anthony Joshua because of him. I've met Boatsi. I've met Conor Ben. I've met Craig Richards. I've met Denzel. I've met Dan Aziz. I've met a few pros just because of him. And because of him, I've sparred a lot of these guys as well. So, you know, without him, like I said, this connection is very, very, very strong. And I really want to thank Tony for giving me the opportunity as well and letting me train with him throughout my amateur career.
And it goes a long way, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's nice to be nice, isn't it? You know, there's no reason. Like, and again, going back to what I was saying about that scumbag promoter I just spoke to, he only wants to help people if he gets something from it, which is why I had a problem with him, this person. And like, I don't get that. To me, listen, if you can help someone that don't cost you nothing, why wouldn't you? But like, you know, without preaching and whatever, that's just how I feel about
like
things.
In this sport, it's not good to connect with someone to get something out of it.
Exactly.
Because then where's the trust there?
There ain't none.
There's no trust.
There's none.
And if you're doing something for me to benefit yourself, not that I want anything in return, but I feel like word of mouth is better than, you know, a materialistic gift or materialistic whatever it is that you're trying to get from somebody else. I feel like word of mouth is a powerful tool that a lot of people need in the sport.
Yeah, listen, you're sitting here with me today. You don't know me before. You're coming down and doing this for me. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to do that. And again, I'm not outing anyone, but certain people I've reached out to, and the vast majority, and I'm talking over 99% of people, are happy to do it, and I've stayed in touch with them, and it's been great. But there are some people that go, but my fee's X, Y, Z, and I go, you know what? Don't worry about it. Forget it. You know what I mean? Like, forget it. Like, that's not what it's about anyway.
Why should you pay me to talk
That's
on
what
your
I
show
think.
when you can both benefit from it anyway?
That's what I think. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. But some people ain't. Some people are like, and then I've had people come back to me and go, all right, cool, I'll do it for this. And it's like, bro, don't worry about it. Forget it. You've already said, I already don't want you. Do you know what I mean?
There's enough in the world to worry about than me charging you for
do you know what I mean?
50, 60 quid for 30 minutes.
There you go.
Nah, man.
And the other, like, certain people have got charities and stuff, and I'm more than happy to donate to the charity and whatever. But that's a different story anyway. But like, let's go back, mate, because you was a serious amateur as well. You was ABA elite champion, in London, which is no joke for anyone who doesn't know. Is serious. But like, I think I asked you before, I don't know if you answered me or I cut you off, but like, what age did it turn into a career path for you?
You know, I was doing it for fun at first.
Yeah.
It was when I met Tony.
Right, which is when? What age are we now at that point?
I'm 30 now.
Yeah.
So, 19?
Right, so still young enough, right?
After I finished sixth form.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
cool.
when I finished.
So you think about doing it?
From year 7 to year 10, 11 was I did just training boxing.
And how many amateur bouts did you end up having before you turned pro?
27.
Yeah, nice. So it's quite a nice number because some people will have a lot more, but that's a serious amount. And you're open class at that point. You're fighting anyone who comes, and it go. What weight was you doing in the amateurs?
Cruiserweight.
Cruiser, which is 91 kilo.
85. Yeah.
Oh, 86. Sorry, 86 isn't it? In the amateurs,
86 to 90.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man.
Big boys there.
One of the biggest opponents was Devon Miller.
Okay.
And you know what's so funny? My first fight in the amateurs was the development championship.
Yeah, I got you.
And this was 2019.
Yeah.
This was the first time I had my amateur fight, and it was for the developments, and I actually won.
Ooh.
I won. And he's 6'1", 6'2". I was just, because you know what? When you're training boxing, it's nice. You could do the little show off, the showboating and stuff. But when you're fighting, you can't do what you do on pads in the ring. You just can't. It doesn't work.
Nah.
And this guy was taller than me as well. So, you know, I felt like shit. When I did finish the fight, I was out of breath completely. I was like, and then I thought, I like this feeling.
Yeah.
You know, I did do 2 white collars. This was when I was with when I was switched over to Tony. He gave me 2 white collars just to give me the experience of what it's like before going into the amateurs itself, because then white collar is different from amateur.
Yeah.
White collar, there's a lot of crowds and stuff. White amateurs, there's not that many.
No.
And those are the real boxing fans.
The level's higher, isn't it, as well?
And your times limit, so it was 3 minutes. It was 2 minutes, 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
And then I turned elite when I had 4 fights. When I had 4 normal standard fights, I then turned elite over to elite, and that was when it turned to 3-3.
Yeah,
3 rounds, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was where I saw the big difference in stamina, in energy, in endurance training. I was thinking, after 2 rounds, I'm like, I can't do this, man.
Yeah, right.
You know, that's when you got to run around the ring.
You got to move a bit. You got to slip and slide, isn't it? Yeah.
So from then onwards, he started putting me in a lot of competitions, tournaments. I was going to do a Capital Cup once in Scotland, and that never fell through. You know, because apparently it was a fraudulent event.
Oh, one of them ones. Like, okay.
My partner came with me on that one, and us as a group with my amateur club, we went as a group. We paid a lot of money for the hotel, flights, and stuff like that. Only to go to there, and only the kids did the event. And then when it came to the young adults, so 16 onwards, they cancelled the whole show.
Bit moody, that, isn't it?
No,
got all the way to Scotland.
Got all the way to Scotland, did the tournament, and it never happened.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know,
thanks, guys.
No midfield, I can't put my midfield on.
But it's funny, but when you go to these tournaments sometimes, like, you say about the weight and the guy was a cruiserweight and how big they are and stuff. Like, we've all been on weighing queues. When you're looking around, right, and you're going, he might be in mine. He might be, no, he's definitely too big. And then you see the guy, you go, he might be mine. And like, I box at 71 or 75 and stuff. And like, you see him weighing in front of you and he's 63 and a half. And you go, shit.
Not even that, right? You could be queuing up. And that's one of the things I love about the amateurs. You got like, I don't know, 50, 60 of you guys queuing to weigh in. And you can see your opponent thinking, I'm going to fight him, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to fight him. And then you're not fighting him. And then you see somebody else that's literally like, I don't know, a few feet taller than you.
Yeah.
Like,
you go, what?
I'm fighting this guy.
Exactly, right.
You're not even in the same weight.
Right,
you know?
right. Well, I had one once when I was 18 and the guy was 34. And he weighed in, I think he was 4 kilos heavier than me. He had tattoos all over on his face. And you know when you just look at it as a kid and you're going, shit, man, that's my guy. And I remember looking at him in the change room. You know, there's a few people hitting pads and you go, I don't think it'd be him. But then there's people filtering out and you're going, I think it might be him. At a certain point, you've got to go, Hey, it is what it is now. Do you know what I mean? I've got to deal with that monster.
There's many things I miss about the amateurs. So it's the warm-ups. You know, before you go into a fight.
Yeah.
Everyone is still doing the showboating. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah, making noise as well. That's a big one in the amateur change rooms, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm thinking you're not going to be making no. This ain't no. You know, this is just for training. I never do too much.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, pa pa pa. The basic wins fights.
Yeah.
The basics. And I feel like only people that actually take the pace out of the opponents are the ones that they know these guys have got no previous experience.
Yeah,
right. A journeyman or whatever. Then they start doing the flair, all of that.
Yeah.
Mayweather stuff.
Right.
And if you can do that at the beginning of a career, fair enough, because you're trying to make a statement. But once you get to the elite levels, that's not going to work.
No.
No offense to Ben Whittaker. Look what happened to him. All of that stuff when he was fighting Liam
Cameron.
Right? All of that stuff. That's a prime example of what I'm saying. That you can only go so far with your attitude, personality, your flares, your showboating and stuff. But once you get to that stage, people they're gonna start taking the piss out of you because if you can do it then, why can't you do it now?
Yeah.
Canelo is the only one I said. Is the only one that I feel like is capable of doing that, because even every other boxers now, they're not doing it as much. The newer ones anyway.
Right. And the game is, listen, it's a hard game, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And then the reason I say that as well, it's always been a hard game, and that's obvious. But where guys now, like at top level, and I know it's been for the past however many years, but like the top guys that are fighting for world titles are fighting 1 or 2 times a year. Which there's a lot of people looking at them, there's a lot of eyes on them, there's a lot of time away to work on things. So the level's so high and it's so close and so tight at the top. You can't afford to do that. And there's a fight coming up with Canelo and Crawford, which we'll talk about later. I want to get into because opinions are all over the shop with that one. But Canelo also he's 35 now, I think, coming into 35. He turned pro at 15, man. Like, there's a lot of miles on that clock, isn't there? Do you know what I mean?
He's got too much of everything.
Yeah.
Too much belts.
Yep.
Too much money.
Too much money, bro.
Too much fame. Too much fame. I don't know, but because I feel like there's a point in time where you need to just give it a rest.
Yep.
And let the new generation come over.
Yep.
And obviously, I'm not one to tell him what to do with himself or his life, but I feel like you need to let the new generation be the new limelight.
Yeah.
Because we've still got a lot of time to be on screen, do more boxing. Whereas I feel like you're sucking away the fun out of it for the new generation.
Do you think a lot of that comes down to interest from the fighter himself, though? Like, for example, if Canelo's at the point now where he's obviously made a lot of money, he's had every achievement going, he's going down in history as a legend, Hall of Fame, blah, 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 right? But if he still wants to do it versus if it's like, it's a chore, I'll do one more fight, I'll get an extra payday and stuff. It's different mindsets, isn't it? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I mean, look at Mayweather, for example.
You're right.
He's done 50 fights and stopped at 50.
Yeah.
Canelo is at 66.
Yeah.
Almost at 70 fights.
Yeah.
Man. Come on, 70 fights.
Yeah.
Fair enough, you're going down in history, but that's 70, that's a lot of rounds. That's a lot of rounds, that's a lot of training and stuff like that. Mayweather is doing exhibition fights to buy his time, to keep his... Even Pacquiao's coming back.
Pacquiao's coming back at 46.
Why is he coming back?
Why are you coming back?
Like I said, I don't want to go off topic again. Mayweather stopped at 50. And he's doing exhibition just to keep himself afloat. I feel like Canelo should be doing the same thing.
Is the undefeated thing a big thing with Floyd, though? Like, same with Calzaghe, right? They got to a certain point where it's like, I'm undefeated, so you can I can bank that and then walk away and be happy forever. Whereas, not that Canelo's got anything to even think, but it might niggle him where he's got some losses and he might think, well, I'll just make an extra achievement.
You've only got 2 losses, though.
Yeah, but for him, is his mindset going like, I want an extra achievement to sort of put a stamp on it?
What other achievements do you need?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But
you've beaten the best in the game in 3 different weight classes, right? You've got all the belts.
Yep.
And you've got plus more, the one that I did with Riyadh.
Yeah.
Riyadh, right? You've got the new belts as well.
Yeah.
So the one with Crawford now, I believe it's not, okay, that's needed because everybody's been asking for it.
Yeah.
But if he was to retire way back when, they'll be finding a different opponent for Crawford.
Of course they will,
Because then Canelo's out of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Crawford, I feel like Crawford and Conor Ben should be one. Crawford and Chris Eubank should be one.
Good fight.
Crawford and Anthony Yard should be one.
Ooh.
Crawford and Boazzi will be a good fight.
It goes on and on and on, doesn't it?
Bring the fight in. Bring the fight into the UK.
What I tell you what's mad is Crawford's older than Canelo.
Yeah, but he doesn't look it. Though,
right.
Because he hasn't fought as much as Canelo has.
And he didn't turn pro at 15. 15, like for anyone, like 15's madness. Can you imagine like a 15-year-old boy turning pro and winning and being undefeated for so long?
Yeah.
Like it is insane. But I tell you one thing before I forget is when I say like fighters because they obviously go on too long, and I think Canelo might end up in that bracket. Is like the one that comes to mind is Roy Jones. Like to me, if Roy Jones had retired at the right time, no one will question he's the greatest pound for pound fighter. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it did it at an okay time, but it was just a bit too late.
Right.
You know, I feel like you need to retire now so people can still speak about you.
Yeah.
Look at Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Tyson.
Right.
I don't want the best boxers to retire with health issues.
No.
Because you've been punching the brain for so long. God forbid, but look what happened to Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want that to happen to Canelo.
No.
I don't want that to happen to any boxer.
To anyone, yeah, right.
You know,
right.
but don't look at the gift, look at your history.
Yeah.
You've done too much. And everybody will still be talking about you for the next 10, 15, 20 years. You know, and don't let the money and the fame get to your head, because at the end of the day, what else do you need to prove to anybody in this life?
Nothing. You don't.
know?
Especially
You don't.
certain fighters, when you get to a certain level. And also, here's another thing. If we go back a step, we spoke about Southern Area titles earlier.
Yeah.
Someone who's never boxed before, if you went in a gym and you saw a Southern Area champion sparring up close, that's got a fight coming up, is what I meant. You'd think that was like, what the fuck, how good this guy is. You couldn't fathom it, right? If you'd never boxed before. So like the people that are like criticising top level guys, they got no concept of what they're looking at.
You see that I've been in environments where, like my workplace where I work, everybody knows I do boxing, right? So when I go to work, everybody asks me, what's it like getting punched in the face? What's it like, you know, going in there and looking at all the lights and all that kind of stuff? I'm thinking you get used to this kind of stuff, right? But training is completely different from fighting. Because training, you can stop halfway. You might want to throw a punch and then stop in halfway for the punch and be like, oh, are you all right? You know, you can't do that in a fight.
No.
You know, you can't push someone doing training. The coach is going to come in and just quickly get in the way. Whereas in a fight, the referee ain't going to get in the way. Like, you know what I mean? He's going to just stop you and be like, if that's what you want to do, then do that. But I feel like some people miss the difference in training, because what they see on video is different from what they see in person.
100%. That's what a lot of people shocked to.
What you see on social media is completely different.
Go to your first boxing event live. It's a big difference seeing it in front of you.
And they think they know boxing because they watch it. You don't.
No. Well, it's like the famous one, isn't it? George Foreman, I think, said to Larry Merchant once, when Larry Merchant was saying, I know boxing, George. He went, whoa, you don't know boxing, you see boxing. And it's a good point. Like, you've never been in there, and it's completely different. It's like, I think Joe Rogan said it once, like, if you've been in a swimming pool, if you've seen every swimming race that's ever taken place, but you've never been in a swimming pool, you don't know if you can swim. And it's the same. But it's the same as like boxing, right? If you've never been in there, it's completely different. And there's too many like armchair experts nowadays, but that's a rant for a different day.
Yeah, that's a whole new podcast.
A whole new rant. That's episode 2 when we come back.
That's a whole new podcast.
Like, what's training look like for you now, mate? Like, in terms of, like you said earlier about camp, I'm assuming by looking at you train year round anyway.
Yeah. So with me, when I train, after a fight, I always take a week or 2 weeks off. Yeah. Because I work full time Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturday, and from work, I go straight to training. Yep. So I start 4:30 in the morning. I don't finish till about 5 o'clock, 5:30. And from there, I go straight to training. I train for 2.5 hours every single day.
Animal.
So I don't get on till 10. Right. 10:30 sometimes. If there's traffic, 11 o'clock. Because I train in Kidbrook. Okay. Kidbrook and Elton.
Where'd you train in Kidbrook?
You know Royal Resistance?
I've been there twice for podcast. Shout out Royal Resistance. Yeah. Great guys. Royal Resistance.
You know
Larry, he's been on a podcast, Larry's been on a podcast. Larry Ekan, say his surname, Ekandeo.
Yeah, so I train with Larry and Kidbrook, and I train with Ryan Barrett and Steve Barrett.
Brilliant.
And Elton. Nice. So I have 3 coaches that really, you know, if I need to step things up.
Sorry, Barry as well. Shout out Barry. I spoke to Barry yesterday. He's coming on the podcast. It's all kicking off with the Kidbrook massive.
I mean, they deserve the name out there. Because, you know, there's a lot of good gyms out there that I've been to that a lot of people don't know about. Yep. You know, unless somebody is big enough to come out and, you know, big up the names and stuff like that, then nobody else would know about it. Cool. Because I feel like there's some gyms that are really good that people are looking to join and they don't even know it's there. Yeah. Right. You know. Right. So if you haven't been to Gum Shield in Eltham, make sure you show up. If you've ever been to Kidbrook and if you've ever been to Royal Resistance in Kidbrook, show up there as well. That gym is amazing.
And sorry, I've been there twice for BJJ podcast too, so I've been in there for 4 podcasts. Shout out to guys, Giorgio as well.
Yeah, Giorgio.
What's Giorgio's surname? Ismail?
I think it's Italian.
I told you I'm butchering names, but Giorgio, shout out, mate.
Giorgio,
I hope you're well.
Yeah. That gym is amazing.
Yeah,
by the way.
great place.
Very
Very
good
welcoming
place,
people, which goes a long way with me. Like, I've been in, again, 99% of all gyms I've been in for podcasts and whatnot, always very welcoming. Same as with training. You get a few people that are not very welcoming. That is the opposite end of the spectrum. Royal Resistance couldn't have been more welcoming, so shout out to the guys.
They humble you.
100%. Yeah, I bet. I've seen guys training in there, so it's no joke, but they're good people, warm people, and that goes a long way in this sport. There's no reason to not be like that.
You know, there's a new, the punching machine.
Yeah, oh, they got one in there,
They just got one there, and everybody always starts and finishes at that place.
Mate.
So everyone puts about a pound in.
Okay.
If I get the highest round,
yeah,
and you get the highest round, we're gonna spar.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah.
Well, I'm in there with Barry soon, so I'll punch that machine and we'll see what's up. But that's brilliant. But like, what's training look like in a week for you, mate?
Yeah,
like,
so,
versus, sorry to cut you off, but like, you train year round, obviously, right?
Yeah,
but what's the difference between training and like training camp, and how long's a camp?
So, I feel like that defers to the coaches and the gym itself, or the pro itself. So for me, my coach likes me to start camp 2 weeks after a fight.
Right. Okay.
Just so I can recover, go on holiday, do what I need to do. Because because I know after 2 weeks, your body would have healed, or almost healed, depending on the kind of injury that you have. Reason being is because he wants me to keep that flow of momentum going.
Yep.
Because there's some people that train that after a fight, they don't train for a month. And then they only start training 4 weeks, 6 weeks if they get a fight date. And to me, that's a bit rusty because why are you doing that to yourself?
You're limiting yourself, aren't you?
Exactly. So for me, my coach likes me to train 2 weeks after a fight. So I have up to 8 to 10 weeks to train for a fight. Because then there's a lot of improvements that needs to be done.
Yep.
And he wants me to make sure I master a certain move and it's synced into my brain. So when I go into a fight, I'm not thinking about it. It comes natural.
Right.
You know, because then the stamina is another thing. You have time to build your stamina. You have time to build your strength. You have time to build your IQ in the ring as well. And I have a lot of sparring sessions. So when it comes to fighting, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Right.
You know, and for me, like I said, I was meant to start camp last week, but I had to get my nose cauterized after that fight, and he told me to take another week off.
Right.
And then, which is the end of this week now, and then I start my proper camp on Monday next week, and that's when he's already given me a plan. So a plan for me now is I'm gonna do I have to do 10K 3 times a week.
All right.
10K 3 times a week, and I'm gonna do assault bike.
Yep. Which is a fun one for anyone who ain't done the assault bike. That'll let you know.
Anyone that's watching this, right? I'll give you guys a challenge, which is what we do every day in our gym. Go on the assault bike and put 50 calories. Right? Try and do 50 calories in under 2 minutes. Ooh. That's the challenge. If you're watching, do 50 calories in under 2 minutes on an assault bike, and tell me what you think. Put it in the comments below.
I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what we should do. We should do a part 2 of this, and after part 2 or before part 2, we'll get on the assault bike. We'll rush to we'll rush to 50 kilo. Or what is it? 50 calories. 50
we'll
rush to 50 calories. We get off that. We hit the punch machine. We get back on for 50 calories. We see who finishes first and gets the highest punch count. That can be our challenge for the episode. So you can watch this space. But like with weights and stuff like that, like you're fluttering between weights at the moment. Ultimately, where do you see yourself falling when you get up the levels? Are you going to stick with super middle, or are you going to say fuck it and go light heavy?
That's a good question to ask, actually. I feel like it differs because right now my manager and my coach has told me to stay at 82.
Right.
81, 82, because then it's easier for me to drop to middleweight, easier for me to gain.
Yeah.
I mean, 81, 82 is I'm already at light heavyweight anyway for that weight class. So if I need to drop, I don't have that much work to do to drop to 77, 76.
What is it, 80 point something in it, light heavyweight? It's 175 pounds, but what is that? Is that 80 point something kilos, right?
No, it's from 79 to 81.
81, right, okay, cool.
The window is very tiny.
It's
very tiny.
Right.
So it's 79 to 81.
Yep.
So right now I'm at 88. Trust me, I've had my food, man.
He's enjoying himself.
I've had all I need to eat. Now I don't even want to touch
Ready to go,
I'm bored of it now.
I got
so I've got to lose everything else now,
I got you.
So he's told me to stay in the middle of that weight class because then I actually asked my manager what weight I'll be fighting at. Like pretty much from camp, because then I need to know what I'm aiming to.
Yeah, I got you.
So at the beginning of camp, I'm gonna message my manager. Where's my next fight? Okay, what weight am I fighting at? If he tells me that, then I'll know where I need to be in fight night. So that means I need to drop more, or I need to just maintain what I've got. Because if you don't know what you're doing and you're just training, you're gonna ruin yourself.
Of course you are, yeah. Fuck
because,
it.
like I said, some people like to train 4 weeks before a fight camp. You won't have enough time to make the weight.
Yep, I got you.
And it's hard to lose 10 pounds. It's hard to lose 10k. It's hard to lose 3. It's hard to lose 4 kg, because what you eat is very, very important. Very important. I don't know, because for me, I used to be a naughty person to myself.
Right.
I used to think, I can lose 4 kg in 2 days. I can lose 4 kg in one night. It's not.
Well, you can, but it don't feel good, does it? And it ain't good for you. You know what I mean?
You can, but then your body is just going to suck up what you eat, whatever you what you eat after.
And it's quality food, isn't it? I think you appreciate that the more experience you have. You start to realise, it's all right going to eat in McDonald's on the weekend if you want, but you're going to have to pay for that, ain't you? Do you know what I mean?
For those who are not really that much into boxing knowledge, but you are a boxing fan, why do you think a lot of boxers go and eat Five Guys after a fight? Or, they go and eat whatever they want after a fight, because they know you can't eat those naughty foods during camp night.
No.
Because to lose weight is hard. That's why a lot of people have personal trainers, right? And that's why we have coaches and strength and conditioning coaches, because making weight is one of the hardest things I hate in the sport.
Yeah, especially if you don't do it right and you're trying to wing it. Because a lot of people, like you say, they crash the weight. They walk around far too heavy, and then 4 weeks before the fight, then they start worrying about it. Listen, you can do it, but that's not the way to do it, is it? Do you know what I mean? And longevity-wise, that's not. But the reason I asked originally was because with light heavyweight, have you got any interest as the years go on and achievements come to go up even further than that?
Yeah.
You have, yeah?
No. I'm not doing cruiserweight for no one's business.
No.
I mean, okay, never say never.
Yeah, right.
My mom never say never, because I never know what the future holds for me.
Yeah.
Right. If there's an opportunity to take it, I'll take it.
Yeah. How tall are you?
5'11".
5'11", yeah. So like, there's some. For anyone who doesn't know, cruiserweight, you can come up against some guys that are 6'6".
Yeah. Devon Miller is tall as hell.
Yeah, of course he is.
You know, and Callum Smith.
Yep.
Tall as hell.
Lawrence Okoli, look at him. I mean, I know he's gone up now.
Man, that guy's trash, man.
And he's gone up now, but he's huge, right?
Yeah. He can't maintain cruiserweight for long.
Not
he's
now.
a big guy.
Yeah, he's huge, yeah.
But like I was, it's cruiserweight. Never say never. I will go to it if the deal is right.
Right. That makes sense, doesn't it?
If the deal is right, I'll go to it.
Yeah,
because,
100%.
I've fought in that in my amateur days, so I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But it's the opponents you deal with. Look at Ernest Jr., for example. Right, that guy is a
beast,
monster.
Yeah.
And we used to train up in Peacock together.
Did you? Yeah.
You know, but obviously after a while we went our separate ways. But
shout out to Lloyd. I had his strength and conditioning coach on, Will Toll, recently. Great guy. Shout out Will. And we're talking about trying to get him on. So hopefully he'll be on here at some point.
Hopefully. But Ernest Jr. is an example, right? He's short. He's my height.
Yeah.
But he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's got power that in recent years he's the biggest puncher in that weight class.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You know, he reminds me of Mike Tyson. I think he's even bigger than Mike Tyson.
Oof.
You know,
Big
if you see him in person, it's a
tank of a man.
Oh
yeah. But they're out there, aren't they? Do you remember? I forget the guy's name. He was Anthony Joshua's cousin. Do you know what I'm talking about? He was an amateur. He was heavyweight champion, meaning 91 kilos as an amateur. He turned pro. He had a few fights. He's in Anthony Joshua's corner now. I forget the guy's name.
It's hard because obviously he's not been in the limelight for too long.
Do you know what I'm talking about though? Short, stocky guy, built like a tank. But he was another one. He was about the same height as me, I think, and he's like built like crazy. I forget his name. Someone comment below. We'll get his name. Anthony Joshua's cousin. But yeah, listen. We've also had on here Conor Marsden. I don't know if you remember Conor Marsden.
No,
he was an amateur club mate of mine, Southern Area champion as a lightweight, but he's 6'3". Like as a lightweight, he's Stickman was his nickname. So listen, it's all over the shop, isn't it? But the reason I really get not concerned about weight, but I'm interested in weight with people is because some people fight at weights that to me are crazy for them, and they spend too much of their time worrying about weight versus fighting. This is not a great example because he won a world title and he never changed weights. But I don't know if you've ever seen George Groves in person. You ever seen George Groves? Have you ever seen him up close?
No.
The man's massive. The man, like, if you looked at him, like, how he ever made super middleweight, I don't know. And he went through his whole career as super middleweight, won a world title, never seemed to moan about the weight either. But like, how he ever made it, I mean, I haven't really got a great point to finish on here, but how he ever made it, I don't know.
There's been certain fighters, right? Look at Canelo.
Yep.
Not Canelo, Usyk, right?
Yep.
He dominated cruiserweight.
Yep.
And now he's staying at heavyweight and he's
Yep.
not moving from there.
Right.
Not obviously because there's no other way. There's no
can't
other
go
way
heavier,
to go
yeah.
heavier. But you know, he's not going to come back down to cruiserweight because you've dominated it. You finished.
Yeah.
And now you're still at heavyweight. Anthony Joshua never came down to cruiserweight.
No.
You know, Tyson Fury never came down to cruiserweight because they feel comfortable in that weight class.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if you feel like you can do a weight class that's comfortable for you,
Yep.
that's what my coach is saying. It's better for you to start training as early as possible so you know where your strengths and weaknesses are.
I gotcha.
For example, I'm gonna be training at cruiserweight for a while, then I'm gonna drop to light heavy, then I'll drop to light middleweight, and if I feel comfortable in those 3 weight classes, then I can choose which one I wanna which one I wanna fight at.
Yeah. But that's what it comes down to, I think, innit? You've got to feel good at the weight.
Yeah.
Like, it's all well and good making a weight. Like, if me and you got on a serious strength and conditioning program, you was on a diet, you starved yourself, and now you're going to fight at light middleweight, right? You could get there, but you ain't going to be able to fight there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
A punch could literally make you lose a vision.
Of course, you're not gonna do well there. And like, but there are people out there that do that, and like,
And that's a
if they
risk,
can
that's
make
a
a weight,
risk,
they'll
that's
make
a
it.
big risk.
It's a huge risk.
You can't
Yeah.
risk your health to fight, for entertainment purposes.
Right.
You can't do that because I feel like if you do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I think so.
You're pretty
I
much
think
shooting
so.
yourself in the foot. And if you get knocked out, that's not them to blame but yourself. Because you trained at that weight class.
Yep.
But you haven't fought in that weight class previously.
Yeah.
I fought at like super middleweight with Robbie Chapman.
Yep.
You've heard of Robbie Chapman?
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
That guy is a good fighter as well. But I felt really powerful at
Yeah.
that weight class. And that's the slimmest, skinniest I've ever been. In all of the boxing I've ever done, that's the lowest. I never thought I could make it to that weight class.
Really, that's
But
interesting.
but I made it.
Yeah.
And I fought and I felt good.
Yeah.
So I know that, okay, I can do it again.
Uh-huh.
And I fought at 80, 81. I felt good. I fought at 83, which was my last fight, because that guy was a lastminute.com guy. I felt good, but I felt a bit sluggish.
Yep.
Because
That's interesting.
I felt a bit sluggish because I've never trained. I didn't train at 83. I had to make weight.
Right.
I was training at 80, 81, and my manager told me to come in at 83, 84. It was just good for me to come lower, but I thought, you know what, it was a big risk I took for myself.
Right.
Going in at 83.7, and when I was fighting, I was getting knackered in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah. Would you have been better staying at like 81 and just fighting heavy?
Because that's what I trained at.
Right.
You know, and I risked it going up for that weight class, thinking, okay, I have to be at that weight, but I could have been much lower,
Yeah.
making life easier for myself.
I got you.
But when I fought at that weight, I was like, well, I'm slow. I feel I'm getting tired too quickly. I shouldn't. You know, you train so hard for this, and
Yeah.
now you're feeling like the training was worthless.
There's a weight for your frame that you're supposed to be, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? And it's like certain people, like Roy Jones, again, going back to Roy Jones, when he went up to heavyweight, he weren't that heavy because he was, do you know what I mean? He just stayed like, I mean, I know he did gain weight and like there might have been some special supplements in his system, I don't know. But he, you know, listen.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, it looked big. It didn't suit him.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming back down, I think fucked him after that.
But I was
as well.
only for Mike Tyson, man.
John Ruiz. John Ruiz, when he won the belt back in 2003, I think it was March 2003. But, you know, there's a whole story of how he came back down after his career slowly went off. But, like, as we sit here now, you said you're 30, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming you better still feel young and good at 30, right? You're not old yet. Do you know what I'm saying? Look at that. Brings tears to the eyes, you see that? No. But, like, have you got an exit plan and, like, a timeline you want to be in the sport? You have. What is it?
I've given myself, 10 years, but
Damn.
I spoke to my family and I was like, nah, T, you're not doing that.
Really?
So I said 5 to 6 years.
Yep.
So I have to achieve all my goals within 6 years max.
Right.
And that's a big goal I've given myself, because knowing this sport, you might not make it.
Yeah, right.
You might be the best in the game, but you might not make it.
But do you know what? You'll get to that age, if you looked after yourself, which it seems like you do, you'll probably go, I'm fine, what am I stopping for?
There's a lot of names I can name
Yeah.
that have quit the sport early, and are still good right now.
Yeah, right. Which is what you want to be, right? When you retire, you want to be fresh and you want to feel
course.
like you still do it.
And it's a thing where health before wealth.
100%, yeah.
Don't-
Well, health is wealth. I know that
Health is
sounds
wealth,
douchey
yeah,
to
yeah.
say that, and it sounds
Yeah.
like a hippie thing to say, but it's true. Like, what good is it being a multi-millionaire if you're slurring your words and you don't know where you are?
I mean, I was gonna say Mike Tyson, but he's done it.
Yeah.
And he's still having problems with himself.
Yep.
And he's just decided to do a podcast and relax his life. You know, I don't want to get to that stage.
Right.
I love the sport. My dream, right, is for me to. I know there's a lot of boxing gym out there, but my dream is to open my own gym, but be a different gym to all the gyms.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil it for you, but in a way, I want my gym to be able to bring in homeless people
Right.
and change their lives.
Wow. Okay. So it's bigger than boxing. It's
bigger than boxing,
helping
because-
people.
because boxing helps.
Yeah.
People come from the streets.
Yep.
And boxing changed. You've heard all the stories.
Yeah.
It changed their lives. So why can't a homeless person come in? You know, that's just one of the things as well. Homeless person come in, you can stay in the gym as long as you clean up after yourself. You can stay in
Don't
the
piss
gym.
on the wall in the corner.
You know what I mean? You can stay in the gym, you can train, fix yourself up, ask for advice, ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, learn a few skills, go to get education or whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you want to move out, if you feel like you're comfortable to move out and go and start your life.
Ah, that's good, man. That's lovely.
know,
That's
because
lovely.
I don't
Because
know-
you know what? Like you said, boxing, it's a certain dynamic in it. Like people that come, not everyone. Like you've got your Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn who just had a mad fight, and they got
That
another one
fight
coming.
is
They
like,
come from wealth, right? But they're a certain type of people, right?
Yeah.
It's a certain dynamic of people, and that type of personality. Anyone that's been in a boxing ring would have it to a degree,
course,
and like
of course.
that typically comes from a certain background. So like
Yes,
to give back, I think is massive because here's another thing. A lot of people say I want to give back, but then they start making money and they go, oh, maybe I'll just chill.
Yeah. Or they open up a charity fund.
Exactly, yeah.
Just done it there.
Exactly, the
But
face
for
of
me-
it, but don't really do much.
But for me, I want people to see boxing more than just fighting, because that's what it is. It's more than just fighting.
Well, it is because the majority of people that go into boxing gym as well never fight.
No.
Which I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah,
It's very well and good. Like, I mean, this is not criticising anyone, but like a lot of people go in boxing clubs, never fight, and want to tell people they box, and that's fine. But
Well, you're doing a class, you're doing a boxing class.
they train
a
boxing, right?
boxercise,
And then you say, what,
circuits.
how many fights do you have? And they go, what club did you box for? That's a different story. But the point is, a lot of people go into a boxing club, never end up actually boxing. But what they get from the training of it, that's what changes anyway.
Because I feel like with that aspect, it's the sense of self-discipline.
100%. 100%.
And nobody else is there to punch the back for you.
No.
Nobody's there to punch the pads or do the circuits for you. It's you. So I feel like that little time you have to yourself is where you realize what you're capable of.
Cool. And it's
that's-
hard, man, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
hard.
yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
anyone, listen. This the old saying, isn't it? Is like you play football, you play tennis, you play rugby, you don't play boxing.
Yeah.
There's no
You don't-
play
you
there.
don't-
It's
there's no-
a
you don't play
tough,
boxing,
nasty
so-
environment
yeah.
to be in.
And I feel like that's one of the best sports to make people see what the potential really is.
It is,
You
yeah.
know, because if you're doing 6 rounds for the second time coming to a boxing match or coming to a boxing gym, you're thinking, shit, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got this in me.
That's it.
Then you're gonna go home and think about what you've just experienced and try to put the energy in something else.
Of course. And listen, how many times you've been in the ring, and I'm sure we all have, when you're sparring and you know when you feel like this is your last round, I'm done, and the coach goes one more round, and you're like, every part of you's like, I'm dying, I can't do another
Yeah,
round,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
find a way to do it,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like that helps everything in your life.
Even,
to me,
even if you were just running around the ring,
100%.
you're still doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Of course you
You're
are.
still doing something. And I feel like that's where a lot of people need to see the difference between loving the sport and just doing the sport for what it is.
Well, like you touched on it a minute ago when you said like you learn who you are. Forget
Yeah.
what other people think. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
they think of you. You discover what's inside you. And we all like listen. As young men, before you step into a boxing gym, you all want to pretend you're a tough guy, right? Some people actually are and prove it later. But like everyone thinks they are, right?
Some people prove it early and then,
course they do.
then later on they're like, I actually haven't got it in
Maybe
me."
not. Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Right. Exactly.
because,
Maybe not.
because they've been around a certain circle that's pushed
There
them
you
to
go.
do what they shouldn't have
Yeah,
done.
yeah.
And then that circle disbands as you get older.
Of course it
and you're
does.
like, I'm actually a pussy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't fight these guys anymore.
But listen,
No,
there's so many people that come in boxing clubs that you see come from troubled backgrounds and like end up being like,
The best fighters in the world.
there you go,
You know,
there you go.
there's like where I work, right? I work in central London, and
Yep.
I see so many homeless people.
Yep.
It pains me. And obviously, I'm not saying the government is probably trying their best to do what they can for that person, you know. But every homeless person to me is a potential to be somebody in the future. That could be the next prime minister sitting on the floor that you don't know. That could be the next Anthony Joshua. That could be the next Cristiano Ronaldo.
Well,
you
Anthony
know?
Joshua's a good one because for anyone who doesn't know, he's a year older than me, I believe. I was in the amateurs when he was in the amateurs, and he
wow.
was like, he was, you know, he came down to Ellsworth for sparring. I've seen him up close or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was off the GB team at one point, and this is all public. It's not like I'm speaking out or I know inside knowledge or anything like that. But little twists of fate, like he got put back on the GB team, went to the Olympics and won the gold medal. Like how different could his life have been if they kicked him off forever? He could have, you know what I'm saying?
He fought his way to get back in.
There you go.
And he got in.
100%.
You know, he must have had a good circle around him for that to happen. Because there's some people that give up like this.
Of course they do.
There's some people that just be like, you know what, I lost, I can't be bothered.
And that's what I'm getting at. Like when he got pulled off the team, he could have just gone, fuck this boxing. I'll go back to doing whatever I was doing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
And he found a way back, and obviously, like look at his life now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because for me, I feel like I see boxing from more, as much as I love the sport, I see it for more than just the sport itself.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really do. And I just hope that in the coming future, I'm big enough, rich enough to try and just make people see a different side to it.
Yeah.
However I'm gonna do it, that's for time to tell.
Good on you, man. But like, what are you? If we sat here now, like as you said, 5 or 6 years. Like, let's just say that's when you finish up, 5 or 6 years' time. If we sit back here, we stick that on, we chat. Like, what achievements do you want to have in the boxing game?
I want to be where Canelo's at.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Big goals.
Fuck it.
Mate.
Fuck it. I want to be where Canelo's at.
But I like that because some people I ask and they go, we'll see what happens. It's like, let's not see what happens.
No, that means you're 50-50 with it.
Yeah, right.
You can't be in a sport like this and say, I'll let God dictate my fate. No. I want to be where Canelo's at. And if I can get there, I want to be more than that.
And if you get there, you come back on the podcast and we talk about it, right? My guy.
If I can get there, I want to be more than that. And wherever that is, that's going to be a question mark.
What you're saying there is like, there's nothing wrong with trying and failing either. If you go after it and you genuinely try, I think that should be celebrated. And I think sometimes there's people that they're scared to try because they don't want to be seen as trying and failing. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And you can't have that, can you?
I think Tyson Fury is scared to try.
Really?
Yeah.
Even after all his achievements?
Yeah.
And he's coming back now. He's going to fight Usyk again.
That's the point. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Right.
Why is it? This is what, his second or third time retiring?
I mean, I think it's about his 8th time retiring.
Well,
he keeps retiring, didn't he?
That's the thing. If you're going to be in it, don't be playing hippie-happy with it.
But do you not think he's great, Tyson Fury?
Yeah, he's good.
Great. I think he's great. I'd say great.
There's always one person better than you.
Really? Okay.
In every sport, there's always one person better than you.
And I've said this before.
There's someone better than me.
Yeah.
I just haven't met that person yet.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody wants to see AJ and Tyson Fury. That fight needs to happen. Everybody wants to see. I want to see Daniel Dubois and Tyson Fury.
Great fight.
I want to see that.
Great fight.
For me, there's not really much any other heavyweights out there.
But also, when you're saying who's better than who, that can move too, right? If me and you are very close in ability, right, and we fight on any given day, you're feeling bad, I'm feeling good, I might get better than you versus the other way around, and it's tight at the top, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So for people like Usyk that have beaten Anthony Joshua twice, they're fighting Dubois for the second time. Let's just, for argument's sake, I'm not saying he will beat him.
Yeah, just to cut you off there, if he beats Tyson Fury twice as well, I'm done with heavyweights.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm done. That means you've beaten the top 3 prospects in heavyweights in British UK.
Twice.
Yeah.
You can sail off in the sunset then. My thing with Usyk is, I think he's obviously great, right? He's a great fighter. Yeah. I personally think, and I've said this on here before, I think Tyson Fury's slightly on the slide, and I think the Tyson Fury that beat Wilder twice would have probably beat Usyk. What do you think?
Well, Usyk is different.
Yep. He is.
Compare Usyk to Deontay Wilder.
No, not at all. But I'm talking about Tyson Fury, I think, on the slide a little bit.
A little bit. I feel like he's overconfidence.
Yeah.
I think that's what kills him.
I think the lifestyle catches up with him, man. Like that fat body, you can't do that forever. Like he'll talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Like that body, when you get to your late 30s, like he's approaching now, that catches you, doesn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? Versus like someone like Anthony Joshua.
And that's what my coach always told me. After 2 weeks after your fight, don't lose hope. Don't just go and enjoy life to the fullest, because you're still gonna come back to it regardless. Because you haven't given up. You haven't retired. So don't lose yourself just because you've had a fight.
Yeah.
Come back into training and just do it. Simmer down.
Well, I think as a fighter, as a martial artist, you have to be in shape all the time. I'm not talking about peak condition. You can't be in fight condition. No. There's a camp element to it, of course, but you should always be ready. You should always look like an athlete. You should always be ready to jump up and down and do your thing.
Because the reason I said, because you could be 2 things about it. You could be a sparring partner for somebody.
Yeah.
So you have to be in shape to help somebody else.
Of course, yeah.
Or you could get called in for a fight if somebody else wants to vacate a belt.
Yeah.
If you were mandatory for a fight, you could be that person.
But Coley's an example when he fought Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
To me, I don't care you had short notice.
Coley never trained for that fight.
That's what I'm saying. There's no excuse to not be in somewhat shape. I'm not saying peak condition, and obviously you're up against it coming in on short notice like that. But to be that out of shape, I don't think you should ever be that out of shape.
I think because he knows he's super heavyweight.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to train.
That's the problem.
He can come in at heavyweight he wants.
Right.
But you can't risk your health for that.
No, it's not about weight. It's about being in peak condition, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like someone like Dubois, for example. Like what does Dubois weigh? 115 kilos ish.
And he's young.
But he's big enough. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't need to be 130 kilos. 115 kilos. If that man hits you on the chin, I promise you, you're going to feel that, right?
I think Anthony Joshua didn't train enough.
Really? That's interesting.
For him to get knocked out.
Okay.
Come on, you can tell from the second round, not from the first, from the second round, when the fighter that's trained enough for that fight.
Yes.
You can just tell straight away.
Well, here's what I said. I've said this on here before as well, so if I'm going to repeat myself, I'm sorry. But I feel like when Dubois walks into that ring, he's going in there, there's a ring, that's my opponent, I've got to fight. It's as simple as that for him. Whereas Anthony Joshua's like the superstar. He's got a lot of pressure. There's this, there's that.
And I believe that's going to be the death of him in that sport.
I do.
It's the fame.
I do, yeah.
It's the, not the money, that's personal. I think it's the fame, it's the nerves, the pressure as well. But I think he always underestimates his opponents as well.
Really, okay.
And I think that's the downside to the boxing sport, especially those who are at the elite. They're always, like Usyk underestimated Dubois, and I think he won that fight. Dubois won that fight.
I've said that on here before. I believe
he won
so.
That fight.
I believe that was a fair shot, knockout.
Yeah.
But justice be done, because I don't mind saying this because he's turned the corner now, Dubois, but he quit after that, Dubois, right? To me.
Of course he would quit, because they took it off him. They took it all off him.
Right, but I don't think he's that guy anymore. I don't think he's got that quit in him anymore. And I know people like to say once you've quit, you'll always quit. I don't believe that. Like, if you look at Daniel Dubois since that, he's a new man to me. Like, he's turned the corner. He's a monster.
After fighting at that undercard in a
do you know what I'm saying?
Thing,
he got through it. He found a way. Yeah. And I feel like he's a different guy now. That's why I'm interested in this fight with Usyk, because I feel like if anyone at the moment is capable of beating Usyk, it's him. Fair or not?
Yeah, I think, because I think he wants it more than, I think Usyk, this is what I'm saying, right? Once you get to a certain level in the sport and you've got everything you wanted, you're just fighting for the fun of it now.
You are, right.
So I feel like Usyk is doing it for the fun of it now.
Right.
Because I think he's got about 2 fights left in him.
Yep.
Before he decides to retire.
I do. I think Dubois, Tyson Fury one more time, finish, sail off into the sunset.
He ain't going to fight AJ again. He's already done with AJ.
No, not AJ, sorry. Did I say AJ? Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury.
Yeah. But Dubois, as you said, he's 27 and he's 28. But he's got a long time left in the sport. Like, do you think he fights AJ again? Do you think AJ takes that fight again? No, I don't. No. The longer it goes, I don't think it'll happen.
Even if he was to take that fight again, he's going to make an example out of AJ.
Well, I think AJ will lose to Tyson Fury, personally. And I think that then it'll go away.
Tyson Fury is too... He's a orthodox version of Usyk.
Right, okay.
Right?
Yeah, I got you.
Usyk is his own man.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like the way Tyson Fury fights, he's a boxer. And if he wants to be an aggressive fighter, he could do that, but not for so long. AJ is just an aggressive. AJ is a brawler, I think it is, when he gets his opponents. But sometimes he doesn't take the opportunity. No,
I think AJ, and it's like a lot of people will say it, I think he gets caught between styles at times, doesn't he, AJ, you know?
But if he fought Daniel Dubois, like he fought Dillian White, or as a matter of fact, if he fought all his fights like he fought Dillian White when he was a bit younger, he would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's protecting himself too much.
Yeah, I think, well, here's what, and I've said this again, if I'm repeating myself, apologies, but I feel like when he fought Andy Ruiz the first time, right, and his first loss and he got caught.
Oh, God.
But, you know, when he went away from that after, and he almost like reinvented himself, I don't think he needed to completely reinvent the wheel after that. I feel like you made a mistake, fix that and get on with it. And now, obviously, I'm oversimplifying it, right? But I feel like to start again and sort of go through different coaches and work on sort of becoming a different fighter, to me, and again, it's easy to say from the outside, but it's a mistake. Because I feel like you got caught against Andy Ruiz, back to the drawing board, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't need to change your circle.
That's what I'm saying, That's it, that's what I mean.
Could have not been your fault.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because at the end of the day, you train for an opponent, and the opponent is training for you. But then they could be training in a way that you wasn't training for. Because that's what I said, I can't always rely on a video I saw on YouTube.
Right.
Because what I saw was 2 months ago, 3 years ago, 4 months ago. Your style could have changed over the years, over the months, over the few weeks. You could be changing your style right now to fight me. So why do I need to watch a video? I could take a few tips here and there from a video, but it's not always going to be my, my reference point to fight my opponent.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because your style's changed. Look at Tyson Fury, for example. The way he fought, what's his name? Deontay Wilder the first time is completely different from the way he fought him the second time.
Yes, 100%.
Same as Triple G and Canelo, they fought 3 times.
Yeah.
They fought completely different.
Yeah.
So you can't always look at a video and feel like that's how he fights. That's what I'm going to train for.
Yeah.
Because it's not always 100%.
No. Certain fighters you can, but not for some you can't, can you?
Yeah, certain fighters are just robotic, man. You can just read it from the first fight.
And certain fighters, they're so good at what they do. Like Mike Tyson in his prime, he's so good at what he does. You know what he's going to do, you can't do anything about it. Do you know what I mean?
But with him, he was like a bloody ant.
Yeah.
All over the place.
All over the shop, yeah.
And then you have people like Stavosh, I can't say his name. Shakur Stevenson?
Shakur Stevenson, yeah.
That's it. Sorry, I can't say his name.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, with him, he's like Mayweather.
Yes.
But then he's good outside and inside.
Yeah.
And there's people that are good at just the inside.
Yep.
And you can't mix the two together.
Right.
And that's why I say you can't watch your opponent for too long, because they could be fighting an opponent that's where they win on the outside foot. And then they could be fighting another opponent that they won on the inside foot.
Yes.
So if you were to watch, you wouldn't know which one to train for.
No.
Would you? So train for what you know, train for yourself, train to be the best you can, and just go with the flow on fight night.
Yeah, I hear that. I believe so. And like, training for yourself, I think is a big thing that people look.
Improve yourself and not to improve to beat your opponent.
That's it.
Because that's why I feel like a lot of people mistake learning and adapting.
Yeah, right.
You're not learning to beat an opponent, you're learning for yourself.
Yeah.
And me, I don't look at videos of my opponent.
Right.
I never do. I learn from the first round. Maybe the second round as well. That's why I learn. That's why sometimes it takes me a long time to get into the fight, because I know you're probably trying to get me to retaliate to a certain punch or to a certain style, but I'm not going to budge.
Listen, mate, undefeated, something's working right, innit? You know what I'm saying? Something's working. Before we start finishing up, mate, before I forget, Canelo and Crawford.
Yes.
Tell me, who wins, how, what do you think?
Okay, here's my opinion. Canelo's got more experience than Crawford. He's been in the game longer than anybody else has ever fought. I feel like Canelo might win because he is good on both stances, southpaw and orthodox.
Right.
His IQ.
Do you mean Crawford might win?
Crawford, yeah. His IQ is very different to Canelo. Canelo, his last fight, I don't know, is he a Brazilian guy? The guy, I can't remember the guy.
Can't remember his last fight.
The guy that was just jumping and just.
Yeah, right. Was that his last fight? Was it? Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah.
He was frustrated on that fight because he couldn't catch the guy.
Okay.
You're not catching Crawford.
No.
Not the way you fight.
No.
He's got to change his. Obviously, I'm not one to tell him how to fight. He's way ahead of me in time. Yeah. But I feel like with him, the way to beat Crawford from Canelo is to box.
Okay.
Box and be a bit of both. Box and be aggressive. When you get him in the corner, don't let him go.
Yep.
You know. And Crawford is just going to do what he does best.
Yep. But here's the thing, right?
He's going to do what he does best.
I feel like Crawford's put a lot of weight on, right? And he's gone up the weights. I think that might catch him late, and I think Canelo might stop him late.
But he's younger than Canelo.
No, he's older than Canelo. Yes. He's older than Canelo. He's fresher because he started later, right, as a pro, right? But he's... But age is a funny thing, isn't it? Like, 35, I think they're 35 and 37. But 35 ain't 35 and 37 ain't 37, if that makes sense, right?
It's only 2 years difference.
But at the same time, a 37-year-old, that ain't just it's not like we're talking about a 70-year-old.
No.
Like 37 can be old, 37 can be young. Do you know what I mean? If you've looked after yourself and you look at him, he's immaculate, right? So he's fine. My concern is going up the weight, that's going to weigh on him.
He's going to
Canelo's weight. And he's already gone up weight. So like for him, I feel like he might, without getting too technical, I feel like my pick would be a late stoppage by Canelo. But I wouldn't be surprised. He could get outboxed.
Or he could go the distance.
Yep.
And Crawford could win.
He could. Listen, Crawford could outbox him. It wouldn't overly surprise me. But if you for a pick, I'd go for Canelo.
But Canelo hasn't. Almost 70 fights. I don't think he's ever fought a fighter like.
Like Crawford, yeah.
Like Crawford.
It's true. No, he hasn't. I don't think he has. He hasn't. But also, Crawford's never fought someone like Canelo, right? So
but there's a height difference as well. So that gives Crawford an advantage too.
It does. I mean, it's a hard one. It's a hard one, isn't it? It's a hard one.
Later
I'm just glad we're seeing it. Like all this stuff that's going on right now. Like these fights are going to happen. Like the historical one.
They need to happen because there was a point where boxing was getting.
Well, I know they fought eventually, but Mayweather Pacquiao never happened really, right? They was at the prime. Like it didn't happen the way it should have happened. Like when Pacquiao was at his pomp, he'd already been knocked out by Marquez, and it was like by the time the fight come about, I feel like most people kind of knew Mayweather was going to get it.
That's why I feel like now the best needs to fight each other.
Let's get it.
And call it quits.
Let's get it. Let's get it now.
We need to come up, man. What the hell is this? I need to be up there, man.
Yeah, sit. Get him out of the game.
We need to come up.
Get him out of the game so my mate can fight. Let's go.
The new generation needs to be up there.
Yeah.
And be the new face of boxing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because there's a lot of people, like when I fight in your call, packed.
Yeah.
Packed out. And people are always asking me, when are you going to be on television? When are you going to fight this person? When are you going to fight this person? I'm thinking, it's not up to me.
Yeah.
I'm just here to do a job.
Just keep winning, man. You'll be there, innit? Just keep winning.
Just keep winning and it will come eventually.
Yep.
But I feel like people just need to watch the best fights now before boxing gets boring again. Because there was a
100%.
point where boxing was dead.
Yeah, it was.
Nobody wants to fight anybody
No.
because of
4 champions that weren't fighting each other.
because they were scared of losing the O in
Yeah.
the record.
Yeah.
But you're gonna lose it. You're gonna lose it.
But it doesn't matter. I feel like, as what we were saying earlier, like about respect for fighters, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Let them fight
yeah,
each other. If they lose, so they should still be celebrated.
It's the repercussions of losing
Yes.
that people don't want to.
Exactly, and it's nonsense because listen, if you're fighting anyway, you're already winning in life. To me, do you know what I mean? Let alone.
I mean, if you're
anyway.
selling tickets and people are coming to your fight, that's
There
a
you
big
go.
achievement in itself.
Exactly. But when's your next date, mate? What's the date?
I think 27, last week of September.
Good. We'll stay in touch. I'm going to be there for that one,
100%,
mate. And mate, I really
100%.
appreciate you doing this. This
thank
has
you
been
for
fun.
coming, man. Thank
Before
you,
we
thank
finish, I always ask the most important question of the day.
Yeah.
Which football team you support?
Arsenal.
Ah, wrong answer, son, Bush. All right, mate.
Man.
Let's finish with a fist up like this. I appreciate it. This has
you
been
so
a good
much,
one.
guys.
We'll do a part 2 at some point.
100%.
Finish with a fist up like this, mate. Squeeze the neck. Boom.